How do you recommend explaining this to clients?
Yeah, it's a really good
Like,
question.
As
because
someone who would be the client, like in-house, you need to grab onto the guy that, shows a bit of interest, or like the digital guy that I don't think you can just explain it 100% to them. They have to understand that attribution journey. They have to have like a fundamental level of understanding. Um, I don't think it's easy. Seeing it from the other side, like internally, a lot of people don't get it.
Yeah. I mean, it's tough to get, right? Like it because I don't think we all have an exact answer of what it means. It's trying to move in the right direction based on the information we have available to us, and it's not perfect information, and I don't think well, it definitely won't ever be. So I mean, from our perspective, I think Kron, I think you said something that was really interesting there, is you kind of are mapping click data against your own first party tool, and you see that they flow together. I think that's really important because if you see in Facebook that if your target is a 1.5 and you're saying, okay, Facebook, if you're not at a 1.5, I'm not spending money on you if you're not reporting that number, but you're not looking at your own actual metrics, maybe something is being lost in translation on the reporting that says, well, great, it's actually producing more than that 1.5x, but I wasn't looking at it in relation to my actual revenue. So I turned something off that was producing a profit, or I was leaving something on that wasn't. So what we try to do is just kind of map that, right? And show, okay, when Facebook says this is what your AMER is, and this is what happens to your revenue when we increase spend or decrease spend, and this is what happens to your contribution margin or your profit when you do those things as well. And it's tough. The best way I've found in communicating it is I'm a avid loomer, probably to my detriment because people hate watching my videos, but loom videos and graphs, right? Graphs to visualize it and kind of explain it, mapping those things, MER, AMER, platform reported numbers, and just showing how they kind of change and impact as you adjust budgets up and down.
I do like a few things in this, like especially so I don't really actively manage accounts as much, but I do manage like three or four. And I recently got fired from an account based on some poorly done audit. But here are like some of the things that I will focus on if I'm talking to a client. Number one is really just the AMER part. Like, so there is your relationship between your revenue and your spend, how it's changing. If your spend is same but revenue is declining, maybe your ad efficiency has gone down. Now, which particular campaign? I think we dig into that next. Then the other thing I look at a lot is new versus repeat customer ratio at a campaign level. I think at an account level that can be interesting to look at, but not instructive enough. Maybe you did an email, blast because you were having a sale. Maybe you had a new drop. So that can be very misleading. But at a campaign level, it helps a lot to understand your new versus repeat split. One of the things that I think that in this whole pixel world, we've sort of forgotten about is trends. I think we rely a lot on today's data, or this is what my 1 day click on accrual is, and like that. But here is the campaign, and now its revenue for the last 3 days is trending downwards. I think at that point, regardless of the ROAS, I am overspending by 20%, 15%, right? If I were to cut my spend by 15%, maybe that ratio, that gap between spend and revenue will remain a little bit more consistent. Right? If the revenue is coming down, but the spend is same, basically the efficiency has gone down. I think that's something that I think is well explained in a Loom. It's kind of very hard to communicate, but that's something also I think that's why in our like the free pixel that we give, it's a critical part to look at those trending data more than just the ROAS today. Like for example, today I have great ROAS on one campaign. Tomorrow it's going to drop drastically because it was for an occasion, right? I mean, of course, it's an extreme example, but in a steady state campaign, if I'm looking at my campaign revenue dropping 5-10% every day, spend being constant, to me, that's either I need more creative, but most likely if I just cut the spend by 20%, Facebook will pick up the efficiency and my graph will be in that ratio.
Yeah.
I think that's one way. And then the other thing is simply just over communicating, because I find like hardest part of running the agency for me personally was because I don't like to talk to people. It is very hard to run an agency without sometimes you just need calls to calm people down, and it's totally unproductive, but they want to hear that you are on top of it, even if you can't do anything beyond what you're doing.